This year marks the centennial anniversary of Saint Vartanant's Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Holy Church. Here we are standing in front of the Saint Vartanant's Armenian Church that was built and consecrated in 1978. But the original church was built in Lowell back in 1916. Handful of Armenians who found refuge in this blessed country of the United States, escaping the genocide in 1896 and later on 1915, they found a refuge in this blessed country, and the first thing they wanted to do was to build a house of worship, to build the church where they could gather and worship Christ, their Lord. The community started with having few courageous and brave women who had the vision and knew the importance of having a church, a place to worship and also to raise their families. So we can definitely say they were kind of founders of Saint Vartanant's Armenian Church back in 1916. So they were able to bring this idea of building a church to the gentlemen in the community. So with the united efforts, they were able to build the original church of Saint Vartanant's in Lowell on Lawrence Street, which was consecrated April 16, 1916. So for 50, 60 years, that original church served the spiritual needs of her faithful, nurturing their faith, providing the religious education to their children. And then, as the community was spreading, there was a need to find a new location, a central location where the faithful could continue coming together and praying and worshiping the Lord, Christ Jesus. So 1978, as I said earlier, this beautiful church was built here in Chelmsford. So for the past 38 years, this particular house of worship has been a place where our Armenian community has been gathering.
Yeah, so we moved, as that I said, as the priest has said, we moved from Lowell out to here, and the name is still the same. It's the Saint Vartanant's Armenian, Apostolic Church. But we're now in a different location so that we could serve the Armenian faithful throughout the area. Because we have parishioners from New Hampshire, we have parishioners from south of Lowell, Draken, okay, so this became our new home, so to speak. And we've been here since 1978. We bought the property in the early 70s. Took some of the old building down and built our sanctuary on the grounds here. It's a big, beautiful church. It's a replica of an Armenian cathedral back in Armenia, the Cathedral of Ani, A-N-I. In fact, for years we've always referred to this church as Little Ani, going back to the original design back in the old country. Okay, so this is Little Ani. It's Saint Vartanant's Armenian Church here in Chelmsford, and it services southern New Hampshire, all of the greater Lowell area, even south into some of Middlesex County. We have parishioners from all over, and it's a beautiful church. We've been blessed with some great priests, and we're blessed with our present priest, who is just a dynamite person. Okay, not only is he a great priest, but he's a great man. Okay, and we all love him. And we have a beautiful church, and we're very happy and proud that we've been in existence for 100 years, and we hope that it's going to be here for another 100 years, servicing the Armenian population of the Greater Lowell area. Okay,
So some people might wonder the name, where it comes from. The name Saint Vartanant's. It comes from a group of heroes. First I would call them heroes, who later became saints of the Armenian Church, who gave up their lives for Christ and for their faith. In 451 AD, there was we can say, the first battle for religious freedom that took place in Armenia, in the old country. So Armenians had to defend their faith. So there was a battle, because at that time Armenia was under Persian rule for many years, and the Persia at that time wanted to force the Zoroastrian religion on Armenians, but Armenians stood up and they kept their faith, and they had to fight for their faith. So 1,036 people were martyred during this battle, and in remembrance of these saints who later became saints, you know, our community back then decided to name the church Saints Vartanans in honor of saints, those who gave up their lives for Christ and for their faith. So this is why we call it Saints Vartanans.
STS. Saints.
STS, plural.
Plural.
And
Okay.
the name is apostolic as well, because the Armenian church, as I hope many know, that was founded by two apostles of Christ, St. Thaddeus and St. Bartholomew. That's why our church is an apostolic church from the very first century. And in 301, Armenia accepted the Christian faith as a state religion, Christianity as a state religion in 301 AD. And 451, as I said, there was the first battle for religious freedom that took place in Armenia, and the name Saints Vartanans comes from that historic battle.
So